Good afternoon. This is Dr. Bobby Cawthron, lead veterinarian with Aspen Veterinary Care, coming to you from Fort Collins, Colorado. And today we're going to talk about skin allergies in our dogs and cats. This is a huge subject, honestly, that could take an hour to discuss, but we're going to kind of break it down a little bit more and give you some global hints on how to help your dog out that might be having some skin allergies. Of course, skin allergies usually mean an itchy dog starts getting really red, hair starts getting lost. You'll also get a smell to them, especially as they get kind of secondary infections on there. And this is the most common allergy and probably the most common disorder we unfortunately see in our pets. And they can really be debilitated by this. They're just constantly itching, can't sleep. And of course at home, it's tough to have a pet in the household that's constantly having these problems. There are several types of skin allergies we can talk about. The big ones that we're going to talk about and to be concerned about are going to be, of course, flea allergies. Dogs can actually have an allergic reaction to a flea bite. Not just the presence of fleas makes them itchy, but an actual flea bite will create an intense allergic reaction that can last for weeks. So even though we don't have a lot of fleas here in Colorado, even a small flea bite can create enough problems that you're having to deal with that. Another one that's probably the most common one is called atopy or inhalant allergens. So the same things that we can be allergic to, including pollens and trees and shrubs and molds and dust and all those things that we can have these kind of hay fever reactions to, dogs can react as well, but they almost always react with their skin. The final thing is food allergies, which is a big subject unto itself. Food allergic issues are becoming much more common. We're having issues with that, and you'll manifest that as an itchy skin problem as well. So those three are the big ones that we always talk about when we're seeing a dog that first comes in. There's some rare allergies that we have to worry about, but those are the ones we're going to worry about most. The things that we can talk about globally to kind of help with all of those things, of course, are good flea control. Making sure that you control your environment and make sure that they're not getting bit by those bugs. And that will help a lot if it's a specific flea allergy. The other thing, of course, is you can't avoid all of the inhalant allergens in the world. You can't go out and stop becoming exposed to pollens, to trees, to shrubs, things like that. But inside the house, you can keep your home more environmentally friendly. Make sure that your heater filter is constantly being changed on a regular basis. You can think about periodically having your vents cleaned out and just keeping the household more kept up, vacuumed and dusted. And you may find that that does help your pet out quite a bit. The other thing, of course, is food. And choosing a food that's really appropriate for your dog, something that is hypoallergenic as possible, is going to be a great thing to help keep their skin under control. If you lean towards a higher protein, less grain type of diet, less corn, less wheat, you'll generally have a better mix of that. With food also, making sure that they have plenty of fish oils. Omega-3, omega-6 fatty acids in combination are very useful in keeping the skin healthy and happy, and they've also been proven to reduce itchiness. And that can be a huge part of the control of allergies, is making sure that their diet is appropriate for them if they're predisposed to all of this. The last thing we'll talk about is how do we diagnose all of this? Can we really figure out what's going on specifically? Well, there are a lot of things. Flea allergies can actually be tested. There is a little test that can be done to determine if they're really allergic to a flea bite. And that also includes atopy. There's lots of testing that's available. There's a simple blood test that can be done through most of your general practitioners. And there's also an intradermal skin test. Some of the same skin tests that you may see people get, where they get several kind of skin pricks with allergens to determine what they're allergic to. We'll do the same with dogs. Usually you have to go see a true dermatologist to do that test, but that can help to determine what they're specifically allergic to and see if you can avoid it. Again, you can't avoid a lot of those, but maybe you can avoid some, and that can help to keep things under control. The final thing is there is no decent food allergy test, and I think that's the big thing for everybody to realize is there's no blood tests, there's no skin test that you can diagnose food allergies. So the best that you can do is a good food trial, meaning getting onto a hypoallergenic food that they're hopefully not allergic to. Sometimes that does mean going to a pretty exotic food, and there's a ton of them available, both commercially and on the prescription side of things. But we're usually talking about like a venison, usually with potato, a rabbit, a duck. We can even get as exotic as kangaroo, and those can be done on a trial basis to determine if their allergies get better. The skin gets better, then we determine, yeah, there's a food allergy. You can then from that point test the dog by giving them things like chicken or wheat and determine if they start itching at that point. And then you know exactly what you're allergic to and then try to avoid all of that. The final thing is that's included in the treatment. You know, food trials not only can be diagnostic, but they can also be something that treats your pet and really gets you over all of this. When you're having a lot of acute flare-ups, there's tons of available medications these days. Some that have side effects that you have to be concerned about, some that are not so bad. The biggest thing that we talk about when it comes to a general approach to allergy treatments is we of course want to avoid as much as we can. That's a huge treatment. We also want to make their skin as healthy as possible, so that's where the fish oils come back into it. Good nutrition is also very important. And if things are still out of control, then we're going to need to talk about doing medications. Medications can be as simple as antihistamines, can be as effective as steroids, because they are very effective, but carry a lot of side effects. And then, of course, we can also consider some of the newer medications that are out. Even as I speak today, newer medications are coming out to help with this because it's such a common problem that at least reduce the itchiness and reduce the side effects of steroids, but are even more effective than antihistamines. So there's lots of things that we can do. The final thing that I'll mention is hyposensitization, which is a common practice that we do use that's relatively effective. So when we find out, hey, we're allergic to dust and this particular tree and this particular shrub, we now know that information, we can try to desensitize them. So we actually have drops that we can give orally that have small amounts of these allergens to try to desensitize the body so they don't react. It's the true gold standard in trying to actually change that disease process that's going on and not just treat the symptoms that are happening. So there is, as you can see, a ton of things that can be done to help your pet out, because we know that this is a really terrible problem that a lot of pets have, but you should know that there's a lot of things that we can do to make that better. It's a good conversation to have with your veterinarian, and it's also a place, if you'd like for more information or details, you can please visit our blog on our website.